Hello, and welcome back to another episode in Going Great Runs. I'm here on what we now call as the Gruffalo Corner, hence Gruffalo. Now he has a little friend beside him, a little fox, and I'm going to talk to you today about challenges. How can you improve your overall time? It's funny, just like to say, Gruffalo Corner is called now, but there's a famous church just right back to me, which is well known in the area. It's changed now since this little young Gruffalo turned up. So you've been running park run, say, for a couple of months, and you feel you've plateaued on a certain pace to get around the course. So how can you now actually try to improve that? Now, realistically, the most common thing people say is you've got to run faster. However, that's not necessarily straight away the case. What me and Jean-Luc did when I started running park run, he'd been running it for 5 years prior to me, and what we used to then start doing, do an extra run a week. So not just running park run on a Saturday, we would run one run midweek, so a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And what we did was actually run 6k, so it's 1k more than our park run distance. So now we're increasing our endurance. And the key thing is, what you're trying to do is actually run your, I got me in the eye, you're trying to run your 6k at the same pace as you run your park run. Now, it will take a bit of time, because doing park run, because the people around you, you're just naturally going to run a bit faster than you normally do, or most people do. But for an example, you're running park run, and it doesn't matter what pace you're at, this is just an example, because it is quite a cliche. A lot of people get to 30 minutes and find it hard to break that 30-minute barrier. So running 6k first to get used to the route, so don't worry about pace, just go out to try to actually get around the 6k. And then once you're doing it fairly comfortably, then try to match the pace of park run. So running roughly 30 minutes is a 6-minute pace. So you want to try and run your 6k at 6 minutes. So instead of being around 30 minutes for your 5k park run, you're around 36 minutes. And if you do that once a week, and in time, you will start to improve, because that 6-minute pace will start to come down. And in the meantime, still carrying on with park run, so that now your park run time should start to come down by a few seconds, which is what you really want. You don't want to take leaps and bounds out of it. You want to just set yourself a target, realistic target. So for instance, breaking the 30-minute mark in this instance, as this example, but break it by a few seconds. Now, if you think about it, just if you do 1 second quicker per kilometre, you already achieved 5 seconds, and that's a great PB to have. So for now, it's about doing 1 extra run a week, so that's a challenge, because now you've upped your amount of time on feet. And 2 is trying to keep it at the same pace, or get to the same pace as what you're doing your park run, and then your times will start to come down. Okay. Now, yesterday I'm actually doing what me and Jean-Luc coined the phrase. We used to do this 6k run like during midweek, and it got used to being called our usual run. So when Jean-Luc went off to university, he would say, "What did you run today?" And I said, "The usual run, it's the usual route," sort of thing. So even now that we don't do it that often, I'm doing it today, because yesterday, actually, me, Jean-Luc, and about a dozen people from our running club, in fact there was more people at this park run, but there was about a dozen of us, we actually ran to the park run, ran the 5k, and then ran back. So I've done it once before in a more closer park run, but this is my first time that I was doing it at a longer further away. So again, it was 6 kilometres, or just over 6 kilometres to get there, 5k round, roughly 6 kilometres back, and overall I've done 19 kilometres. Hence why today I'm just doing an easy one, going back to our usual route, which I haven't done for quite some time. But the key thing is now is that my challenge yesterday was to run the park run after running to it. So obviously I'm not more tired than I would by it unless I drove to my park run and ran it that way. But so it was a challenge to me. Now, I wasn't after a time, as in getting a good time. I mean, for my 5k at the moment on flat course like this was yesterday, it is 21:23. So all I want to do is see what I could do by pushing myself, challenge myself, but not trying to get a PB. And what it turned out, I got 23:13, and that's after running just over 6k to get there. And obviously I had to think about I have to run 6k back. So that was a good challenge for me. Now later on I will try the same sort of challenge and try and beat at 25:13. Now because I've already run 21:23, then I know I can beat it. But the point is, can I do it by running there first? So you're a lot more tired. So that's my challenge. But your challenge when you're starting off, it should be like saying to increase your distance and increase the number of runs you're doing. So when you feel you've got to a plateau, like where you're stagnating around a certain pace, a certain time for part run, then start to actually try to challenge yourself. And one way is to extend your distance slightly, like 1k. You don't have to go mad. A good example of that is to actually, where you're starting your run from, so if you're running from your house, is to find a 6k loop. So it may take you a few attempts to find where it works for 6k. It doesn't have to be exactly. It's whatever is good for you. That's the key thing. It must work for you. So running 6k worked for us, and it was literally a loop from our house around a certain area and back to our house. The key thing about that is once you get halfway, you've got two options. If you're finding this 6k is too hard, because in theory you've only run 3k at that time, you could always go back. But realistically, you might feel that you haven't achieved something. But if you continue on your loop, you get a sense of achievement straight away just by completing a run 6k, and you're back at the house. So you haven't got thinking, I've run 6k from the house, now I've got to get back to now. So doing loops from your house or where you start off from is a good way to challenge yourself. Obviously, if you are struggling to get to that 6k, struggling is the wrong word, find it challenging to get to the 6k, then don't try to walk a bit and that sort of thing, because realistically that's how I started part running, just jogging little bits. And realistically, although the phrase is run, walk, run, I definitely did more like jog, walk, jog, and before I actually got into it. So again, you're upping the distance, you're upping the number of actual runs you're doing, so that's a challenge in itself. And this is how we motivate ourselves, how we keep going to get outside the door and actually to improve our overall time. And I promise you, in time, you carry on with that extra one a week, trying to get to the same pace as what you're doing the 5k, to do the 6k, you will find your times coming down. Just to finish off, I said I was at Gruffalo Corner. This behind me is a famous church in the area, and Gruffalo Corner is just facing it, just over there at the house. It's amazing how a change in your environment makes a change in what people refer to. So if you try to change what you're doing, I promise you, you will improve overall. So, till the next one.